Again in studio, this time about mental health, but also why it's very, very difficult because some doctors are also angry. To understand mental disorders that you can have as a healer is also important. Very important to have some purpose, also with the type of difficulty to share something valuable. Of course, understanding sleep is also important, but probably the beautiful people sleep the most. To understand individuals is very important and it builds different forms of potentials. Of course, it's very important also to see the different forms of diets actually damage humans, especially women, because they are actually too much on different forms of the diets. They want to reduce grams in their body. Instead of that, you should actually take some simple care in our Dao clinic, but also to understand simple forms of the frequency together with the behavior. Of course, safety is also important, but also to store some food for the later time. To understand simple forms of seniors is also important, but also to serve those that are over 80 and sometimes even ignore everyone and only improve mental health for those that are 90 to 100 also. Those that are older than 90 have millions of depressions, but also depression symptoms and symbols. Many disorders might appear once you are over 95. It is very important to understand purpose, but also observe others sometime, because they also have some Taoism disorders. To understand different forms of generations, it's not easy, but to build diagnosis for those that are extreme sick is also important. To understand index together with health, it's the most complex, and usually also that is indexed together with simple modeling. In medicine, there is no modeling but are more Taoism and simple hospitals. It also depends what users are thinking about their health and how it should be treated. In United States, it's not easy to add some value to different forms of Taoism because the doctors do not respect it a lot. Of course, doctors also do not understand different forms of the analysis that come along the body. To solving health, it's actually extremely dark thing, and it might even relate to different forms of the art from my point of expression. The medicine too often use different forms of the drugs that can even damage the body if you think about health too much. So in medicine, there are different forms of extreme disorder, but also in insurance, there is finance structure. So those type of administrations are extremely difficult in America, but also around the Europe. Of course, in Africa, if we think about Africa, many things are very difficult. In America, they have CNN and different forms of drafts for doctors, but in Africa, they do not have that type of different forms of book support for doctors. To understand the Health United, probably we are extreme poor, maybe even sick, because united people could not think properly. To understand associations together with philosophy of Taoism is very important. But to understand my statement also about healthcare system in United States, but also in Europe, it's not simple statement. Different forms of partnerships together with the cure are very important. Also in Medicare and pharmaceuticals. To understand different forms of manufacturers in America, it's also important for those that want to deliver more cure to the world. It's not easy to think about the terms and also delivery and purchasing environment. It's not easy to build better treatment for people and users, but of course, you should not only think about selling cure. You should actually build some simple contracts and terms for entire America or entire Europe if you are in medicine association. Different forms of simple pharmacy is very important, but also to give out any forms of extreme marketing. The marketing actually corrupt the industry, so it's very important to understand some psychicants, but also some drugs, so you can actually build a better pharmacy company. Some samples are not simple in Europe, but also not in America when it comes to different forms of creams, but also to understand inflation that some people have on different forms of economics and in medicine. The microhands is actually very simple, but also building some simple pharmacy, not too complex. To understand different boards together with agreements is also important so that people can actually build a better and better service also in medicine together with different organizations. But of course, people in America and Europe also have a lot of hallucination about what is the best for their kids or what is the best for adults. From some point in this world, all humans are kids or all humans are adults. But it's very important to understand different forms of settlements that you are actually making for self. That's how you're going to see every human in this world as adult or every human in this world as a simple kid. And there will be no extreme orders. Very important to understand simple forms together with simple case, but also to understand different forms of psychotics. Those psychotics are usually not exactly technologies, but of course can be built together with the code. There is a lot of conspiracy theory about modern time and what is the most important in life. To understand different forms of the public opinions, it's not the most important what you think about disease. You should always have different forms of reasons what you think about general health, but also how to build simple forms of manifestations together with simple vaccine, but also different forms of cure for people.